Hey everybody, welcome to A Tribe Called Geek, your new home with Red Planet Books and Comics. I am Lee Francis, your head indiginerd over here at A Tribe Called Geek, and we are launching a new interview series with some really great movers and shakers and folks that are doing really cool things around the world, not just locally, but have some moments that kind of touch in with us as indiginerds. And so I'm really excited. Zain, thank you so much for joining me. I'll let you introduce yourself. Tell our audience who you are, and then I'll jump into some various things because I want to talk about the game that you're making up for us.
Thank you so much for having me, Lee. My name is Zain Memon. I am a writer, game designer, media producer, uh, based out of Goa in India. I work in films, television. I also make games. My first game was a game called Shasan. It's a political strategy game, and right now I'm working on a game called Shasan Azadi, which is a semi-cooperative game about revolutions.
Awesome. So let's talk about this right now with Shasan Azadi. What will freedom cost? I'm going to read it right here down on my screen from the old Kickstarter, which is going well right now. Ignite the revolution, topple the Imperials. That speaks well to our audience. Emerge as the leader of your nation, a semi-co-op retelling of rebellion through the ages. This is fantastic. And I know that, we used the great interwebs to connect. This actually went through what we call the Moccasin Telegraph. So it went from native to native to native. I think it started out with Connor Alexander, who did great Kickstarter with Coyote Crow that's coming out. Moved over to one of his writers, Wioti, who passed it on to me, and I'm bringing in my buddy Aaron Cuffey, who we're going to kind of work as a co-writing team. But this is really exciting, the work that you're doing. So tell us how this got started. What was your inspiration for both creating Shasan and, of course, Shasan Azadi? Give us the origin story, man.
So two of my colleagues and friends, Khushbu Ranka and Vinay Shukla, spent 5 years making this wonderful documentary about the rise of the third political front in India. It's a film called An Insignificant Man. When we were making the film, and I had the privilege of producing it with them, we realized that the conversation around modern politics wasn't over. And I really wanted to create a tool where people can have fun, but also talk about politics and policies and not politicians in a healthy way. Because with Twitter and the internet and just the polarization that's happening, it has been super difficult to talk to your own family and friends about things that you might not agree about. With that in mind, we started building Shasan. One thing led to another, and we launched a Kickstarter campaign that did awesomely well. Shasan has been very well received worldwide. It's an area control tableau building political strategy game, and has 5 different political scenarios you can participate in. Azadi is a follow-up to that because while building Shasan, we realized that while the zero-sumness of politics is apparent, there's also a lot of other complexities that we have to grapple with in our current political system, and especially at major inflection points in history. And these sometimes require us to cooperate and work together across the aisle with people that we may or may not see eye to eye with. If you look at the American Revolution or the Indian freedom struggle, you will see people who are otherwise not allies or turned on each other as soon as independence was achieved, were working together to fight off an alien colonizer. So that's the story of Shasan Azadi. Everyone works together, cooperates to overthrow the imperials, to overthrow the colonizers, but with the uneasy knowledge that if they do win, and it's a big if, it's a difficult if they do win, only one of them will emerge as the leader of the new nation. So it's that thin line between ambition and freedom that players go through when they play Shasan Azadi.
That's a great setup, and I very much appreciate the way that develops out, right? Because it is historically accurate, but also creates that repetitive gameplay, right? So because every time you're going to play it a little bit differently, how can you work together to, to create the revolution, knowing that revolutions often fail, right? So that's, so how do you balance that in terms of, because it's a big game, right? It's kind of spanning. So how do you balance that in terms of, not demoralizing folks, right? Because there's a lesson in there, right? So that gameplay becomes really important, and you want the repetitive gameplay. You want to try and hack because you want to try and unlock the system. So how have you worked to be able to create a space where the revolutionaries at the table are not demoralized so much they don't want to play the game anymore?
So the game doesn't force you into a corner of cooperation, and that's where the trick lies. If everyone cooperates entirely, the game is not as difficult. The difficulty pops up from the time because once you do gain independence, one of us might have sacrificed more for the cause than the others, and might get the short end of the stick moving forward and in winning the election. So when you play the game the second time, the third time, you realize, hey, what if I don't contribute as much this time? What if I play it easier this time? And it's that uneasy balance that makes the game more difficult. It's that untold lack of faith in your compatriots that makes the game difficult, not necessarily the game itself.
Right. So you're building off of the human experience, right? The exact thing that revolutions have had to go through, right? And often how they succeed or fail and the what happens next. And that's always kind of appealed to me, is kind of the what happens next with that. So we had the chance to talk and figure out. So I'm really excited because we're going to get to contribute to the American Revolution part. And so what was your impetus around that? You wanted to include the American Revolution and Indigenous folks. Why did you decide that would be something you would latch onto?
So the original Shasan had four primary campaigns. We had the Indian independence, in 2019 India, 2019 USA, Rome 40 BCE, and the future of humanity 2040. With Azadi, I want to tell the stories of different kinds of revolution. We had the quintessential non-violent revolution, which is the Indian independence story and the story of my people. But we also had two revolutions that were very interesting: the American Revolution and the Russian Revolution. Not necessarily fought peacefully entirely, not at all in the case of the American Revolution, leading to two entirely different forms of nation states. And then you have the Egyptian Revolution, which can be argued is a failed revolution. But the American Revolution, I also wanted to make sure that I don't perpetuate the same story, the same narrative that all of us have heard for the last 200 years. There are facets to the story. There are voices to the story that I believe will give us a much a more well-rounded image of what happened and what's going on.
Awesome.
And with that in mind, I felt that. And also, I don't have the hubris of thinking that I personally can write the American Revolution campaign. I don't have lived experiences of the landscape. So, like with Shasan, with Azadi, we said let's reach out to the right people, to people who write well, who understand the history, who understand the politics of what a revolution means. And I started reaching out to people, and like you said, I went from Connor to VOD to you. And with each step, me learning a different nuance of American history. And what I need to look for in the ideal collaborator.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic, and that's, I think, one of the things that we look for often as Native people and Indigenous people, since we've been pretty well blocked out of a lot of media, and oftentimes they're just brought in to sort of check boxes at the end of the work, right? It's just like, so this is okay, right? Our thing is all right. And it's like, no, oh, well, it's too late to change it. So what's been really refreshing is that you've been in at the beginning being like, yeah, we got the box up, we got the art, but like all the content, like we're going to need help. And that is usually like one of the more refreshing, exciting things about doing this work. it was when folks come to us early on in the process, and to be a part of the process and kind of and learning what that's like. So that has been really awesome. So I'm so glad that you reached out and you did follow the pathway over to me. So with Asadi, do we need, as game consumers, the stack of, do we need both? Do we need Shasen and the and the expansion? Are they standalones? How does the mechanics work between the two games?
So Azadi works both as a standalone and an expansion. So if you already have Shasen, you can just get the Azadi expansion. But if current politics is not your jam, and understand why it can be exhausting, and you don't want to deal with the politics of here and now, you can just grab Azadi as a standalone unit. It comes with 4 campaigns with lots of replayability straight out of the box. It's an 11-pound game. It's a heavy box.
Thanks for translating that to Americans. I don't know about kilograms. You would have been kilos, and I'd have been like, I don't know, folks. I'd have to put a little bar down at the bottom. So thanks for that. I just want to say thank you.
It's somewhere between 11 and 12 pounds at the very least. If the stretch goals go well, we'll also be unlocking an extra campaign for everyone.
Nice.
So it's, by the time you get hangs of the game, you'll be getting 5 campaigns with lots of replayability, around 800 unique cards, and content you can go over again and again with your friends and family.
Awesome. Well, there's roughly about 2 weeks left on this. So folks, go ahead and support this online. You can head over to Kickstarter. We'll have a link in our links below, so you can go and support this. Probably have it up here on the banner as well. So you can check out Shasen Azadi, which is really fantastic. My friend, thank you for joining me today. I'm really excited about this game. I'm excited to be a part of this game. And I think whenever we can have these moments of positive representation, but that also connects us up to a global world, we remember that we're interconnected, that our revolutions are not standalones, but that they build across and they support each other throughout the echoes of time. So I think what you're doing is amazing. I've had a blast playing Shasen, and I'm so excited to not only be a part, but also be a gamer and play Asadi as well. So
thank you so much.
Check it out, everybody. Kickstarter, make sure you get that rocking and rolling. You can also check out us at Red Planet Books and Comics and A Tribe Called Geek.com. We got lots of content coming up here. We're going to interview great people, podcasts, and much more going on for now until the next future, until the robots take over, right? Until our robot overlords put us all to work for them. This is what we're going to be doing. Thank you, everybody. We'll talk to you soon. Peace.